Welcome back to JobLots. Today we're going to be demonstrating how to do reflow on copper and aluminium MC PCBs for LEDs. This was recently brought up to me by a friend of mine that he wanted to start to do this kind of work for his own personal projects. So I thought I would go ahead and make a YouTube video of it. So before we get started, there are a couple of things that we are going to want to look at and use for such a job. So first of all, we have some tweezers. So these are not strictly necessary, however, they do make the job a lot easier. This is just a set I got from AliExpress. You will need your LED of choice. So this is a Cree XML3 3V in 6500K. Now, for this demonstration, I will be pulling the LED off this board and then putting it back on. However, the same application and same procedure applies to any board that you want to put a LED on or swap it out from one LED to another to change your beam profiles or colors and vice versa. Another thing is solder paste. Now, this is not really necessary. You can also get away with it using leaded solder within the same application, and a hot plate of your choice. Now, you can pick these ones up, and I strongly recommend these off AliExpress for about 25 Australian dollars. Not sure what that converts to in freedom dollars, but these are definitely a worthwhile addition even if you have no plans on doing LED reflow. These are really good for doing small PCBs, changing out resistors, capacitors, ICs, and that kind of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and plug this in, get it warmed up, and then we're going to get started. I'm also going to leave the links to these down below. I have no affiliation with the links below. I make no money from them. If any of them are dead links, just make sure to let me know in the comments and I will update them. And the final thing that is ideal, now this is not necessary, is a multimeter. In my case, it is the O1 XDM1241. This is so then after you have done the LED reflow, you're actually able to confirm that you have gotten the polarity correct. Because the last thing you want is to put it into, let's say, a flashlight and find that you have put the LED backwards. I've done it many a times before in my earlier days, and it really is something that if you can avoid it, you absolutely should. So let's go ahead and get started with this. So now we are going to go ahead and start with the reflow. I have just preheated this to 205 degrees Celsius. The screen does not flicker in person. That is just because of the camera. I've found that you can do anywhere from 180 to about 220. 205 is where I like to do it. It just takes a bit of experimentation time and error. So we are going to go ahead and zoom down on the hot plate, and I'm going to go ahead and grab the LED and just place it down on the hot plate like so. And we're gonna let that warm up. So what I like to do is get my tweezers and I like to feel the pads of the LED because there's just some solder there. And as you can see, the solder has softened. So now I should be able to just grab the LED and pull it off like so. So now we just have a PCB with no LED. So I'm just going to go ahead and flick that off and let that cool down a little bit. And then we're going to pick up the LED. And as you can see on the, if it wants to focus, on the bottom of it, you have the big center pad and then the two outer pads. Now that big center pad is where the heat transfer occurs. Then the two outers are your positive and negative. On this LED, this is by Cree, they have actually added, if I can see it, and let me just move it so you guys will be able to see. Give me a second. Oh, they like to jump around in the tweezers. But on this particular one, I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but there's a little mark in this corner right there, and that will indicate the positive side for this LED. That can vary LED to LED as well. So you can always just either experiment and see what is the polarity, or you can actually look up data sheets and sometimes they will tell you, or Budget Light forums is also a very good tip on figuring that one out. So now we're actually about to reflow the LED back onto this board. And I just wanted to show you the board as I just show you the LED and see that thermal transfer pad in the center and then the positive and negative. So what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and place it back onto the hot plate. And then I'm actually going to get a little bit of solder paste And I'm actually going to add just a little bit. You don't actually need much, just a little bit to that center pad. If it wants to flow. Fortunately, it's a little bit cold in the garage, so this might not want to flow very much. And it does not want to flow, so I'm actually going to have to go ahead and take off the nozzle on this and do it just like this. So we're going to go ahead and add a little bit to the center pad. So a little bit to the outer pad. Like so, and then you'll see it reflow a little bit, and now there's a nice decent amount of solder just there. So now what we're going to do is, there's a little bit of a high spot just there, so I'm going to go ahead and move that around with the tweezers. And now we are going to go ahead and grab the LED, taking note of the pad orientation. In this case, let me just get a good look at it and try and find that marking, which is just there. So we're going to want to rotate that to make it a little bit easier on me. And now we're going to get this, and we're just going to drop it down onto that pad, like so. And then we're going to give it a little, oh, there we go, it just fell down into place. Then what I like to do is I like to give it a little tap. And what it does is it squeezes out any excess solder. And then we are going to go ahead and grab it with our other set of tweezers and put it down like so. And we are going to go ahead and let that cool down. And then we are going to test with the multimeter whether this has been a successful job. So now we are going to go ahead and test this LED with our multimeter. Now I'm going to go zoom down, and I do apologize for the quality getting a fair bit lower whenever I do zoom in, but I can't really dictate that unless I move the camera closer, which I cannot do. So we're going to go ahead and get our negative of our multimeter and our positive. Now the multimeter is currently set to diode mode, and it's going to beep when I do place these down. And when I do so, it should light up, which would then indicate that we have done this process correctly. So if you're sensitive to beeping noises, right now is the time to turn down your volume. Oh, sorry, I have gotten it the wrong way. And positive, positive, negative, negative. And there you go. As you can see, this has been a success. You should be able to see that on camera. So there you go. That is how you do a LED reflow. This can be applied to any kind of LED on any kind of MCPCB, whether it be copper or aluminium. I appreciate you guys watching. There are a few hiccups along the way. However, look, at the end of the day, nothing on the bench is perfect. And even me, who I've probably done hundreds of these, I still have the odd muck up. Thank you very much for watching, and make sure to take care out there.